This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Yeah, Rabbi say we're about to embark on a major topic, and this is going to be a topic that we'll be spending at least the next 2, maybe even 3 weeks on, and it's a really very powerful and very relevant contemporary issue. And I hope it should be very relevant, because ultimately this is a topic that should lead up to the Mashiach. And it's a very appropriate topic during the 3 weeks when we're mourning the Churban Beis HaMikdash. And also relevant.
That pen launch, is this yours?
You can have it. This is a topic that relevant to the 3 weeks. And also to this week's Parsha, Parsha's Masay in particular. The Parsha begins, Eile Masay B'nai Yisrael, Asher Yatsu Me'eretz Mitzrayim L'Tzivaisam B'yad Moshe V'Aaron. These are the journeys, the Masais of B'nai Yisrael when they left Mitzrayim, and they left Mitzrayim B'yad Moshe V'Aaron. And the question is, and this is addressed by the Sefer Kasnoi Sayar of Meir Eisenstadt, who's the Rebbe of the Rabbi Yonasan Eibeshitz. Rabbi Yonasan Eibeshitz grew up as a Yasaim in the house of the Kasnoi Sayar. And Rabbi Yonasan, the Kasnoi Sayar, writes the following. He wants to know, what do you mean, Masei B'nai Yisrael Asher Yatsu Mitzrayim? You're kidding me. B'nai Yisrael left Mitzrayim? Really? I didn't know that. We have to tell you? The Torah has to say B'nai Yisrael left Mitzrayim? It only says the words Yitzias Mitzrayim. By the way, the Zohar has a count 50 times. The Gra quotes it 50 times in the Chumash, Yitzias Mitzrayim. Besides all the other variables of. But we know B'nai Yisrael left Mitzrayim, right? Every Jew, I don't care. You have to tell me now in Parshas Masay. By the way, these are the Masais of B'nai Yisrael. They left Mitzrayim. Really? You're kidding? They left Mitzrayim. Of course they left Mitzrayim. What? Okay, some of the Yitzias Mitzrayim, it says in Parshas Boy, when they're leaving, it talks about Yitzias. But now in Masay, and they left Mitzrayim. And also they left B'yad Moshe V'Aaron. Really? That's also, big chiddush. They left B'yad Moshe V'Aaron. Well, why does it have to say this? So the Kasnoi Sayar wants to know, V'ika L'meidak, Lama Hutzrach Leimer Asher Yatsu Me'eretz Mitzrayim. V'nira. These Masais are not just, they went from here to here, the river, right? From here, from A to B, B to C, C to D. It's a remez. It's a remez to the various travels and travails that Klal Yisrael experienced throughout the Gulisim. It's a remez to the different stops and camps we made along the way. De'isa de'ela Masei B'nai Yisrael kan Ramza HaTorah Sheyelchu B'nai Yisrael B'Galus. This pasuk is a remez that Klal Yisrael will go into Galus. Ve'isa, we find in the Medrash, De'im Haisa HaGeula Yidei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If Hashem would have taken us out of Mitzrayim without any human intervention at all, we know it was Yidei Malach, Yidei Shliach, but still Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron HaKohen, they served a function in the Geula. The Mefarshim say, Hashem did the Geula, Gulas HaNefesh, they did the physical Geula, but whatever it is, they played a role in the Geula. But if Hashem himself would have done the job, that would have been final. It would have been the Geula Shlema. Lo haya ha'galos, there would never have been galos v'ayis Geula Shlema. Aval kivan shehayis ha'idei basar v'dam, since human beings played a role in it. Kishem shehem oivrim, just like the human beings are transitory, right? Human beings are temporary. Kach geulasan avra. So too the Geula eventually came to an end. Bezehu haremez. This is the remez. Eile Masei B'nai Yisrael. These are the Masais. These are the Gulusim that we went through. These are the travails. Ratzalai Asher Yelchu B'Galus. Why did we go through Galus? Asher Yatsu Me'eretz Mitzrayim B'yad Moshe V'Aaron. Because when we left Mitzrayim, it wasn't B'yad Hashem only. It was B'yad Moshe V'Aaron. Since it was B'yad Moshe V'Aaron, that's why we had Galus. In other words, Eile Masei B'nai Yisrael. These are the Gulusim that we went through. Why? Because when we left Mitzrayim, it was a temporary Yitziyah. Why was it a temporary Yitziyah? Because Moshe and Aaron played a role in the Yitziyah of Mitzrayim. Because they played a role, it was not final, it was temporary.
That's what the Shem wanted. They were Shlifei Hashem.
Yeah, that's
right.
Why? Because Baruch Hu wants to
right. But that's how it happened. And if that's how it happened, it wasn't final, right? The Amar Atam Asher Yatsu Me'eretz Mitzrayim B'yad Moshe Aaron Ulefi Shahaya Ge'ulasam Ayidei Basar V'Dam Lekach Ge'ulasan Oiveres. Therefore, it was temporary. V'Yelchu Achar Kach B'Goyla.
That's the same thing that we say that why Why did Moshe Rabbeinu not take Klal Yisrael into Eretz Yisrael? Because if he would have taken it into Eretz Yisrael, then they would have left. So the same thing over here. Because Baruch Hu wanted it in such a way that if Klal Yisrael does do Averis, then they'll have to go into Gola.
Or we have one of the Malbim says the reason why David HaMelech couldn't build the Beis HaMikdash. If he would have built the Beis HaMikdash, it never would have been able to be destroyed. Okay. Says Megala Amukais. Says Megala Amukais. Galmukais was Rav Nasser Nata Shapira. He lived in Krakow in the times of the Bach. He was the Bendar of the Bach. He says, if Eila Masei B'nai Yisrael is a remez to the Golosim, we know primarily we have how many Golosim? 4 Golosim. We have Edom, we have Madai, we have Bavel, we have Yavan. Says Megala Amukais, Eila Masei B'nai Yisrael Rashi Tevais. Eila Aleph, Edom, Mem, Madai, Beis, Bavel, Yud, Yavan. The 4 Rashi Tevas, so the 4 opening words of Parshas Masei, is a remez not just to Golus in general. It's a remez to the 4 Golusim. Says the Megala Mukas, V'lachein hotzrichu Yisrael leGolus bi'arba malchios. We had to go into the Golus of the 4 malchios. Shenirmazim b'Rashi Tevas shal Eila, Masei, B'nai Yisrael, Edom, Madai, Bavel, Yavan. A hafla dikaremes. But says the Megala Mukas even further. What's the trup on Eila Masei B'nai Yisrael? Azla Geresh Munach Ravi. Right? Eila. What's the trup? Right? Take a look. You have a Chumash? Azla Geresh. What does Azla Geresh mean? What does Azla? Thank you. Quick service. Right? Parshas Masei. Eila. Right? Azla Geresh. Masei B'nai Yisrael. Azla Geresh Munach Ravi. What does Azla Geresh mean? Azla, we left. Geresh, we were chased out. Munach, we were placed. Ravi, into the Dalet Galisim. Which ones? Eila Masei B'nai Yisrael, Edom, Madai, Bavel, Yavan. Eila Masei B'nai Yisrael, that's from this week's Parsha. That's the trup.
Where does that come from? Who made that up? That was
I'm not sure. The trup itself is halacha ma'ashim. I don't know. So he says, Lachein hatam, therefore the ta'amim, the trup on these words, Alayla hu azla gerish, v'amase b'nei Yisrael hatam hu munach ravi. Right? You want to do Nusach Sfarad? But whatever the tune is, we're...
She's going like that, backwards and forwards. It's over here just an area.
No. Only the Gerish.
It's not a Gerish, it's only Gerish. A Gerish means going and coming.
No. There's Kadma v'Azla, and then this is called Azla Gerish.
She's going like this. One from this one and one from
No, that's called Kadma v'Azla. That's called Kadma v'Azla. This is called Azla Gerish. Azla Gerish. It will go, they will be chased out. Where will they put? Munach, they'll be placed. Ravi. And Tzar Hamar, Rabbi Avram Saba, one of the Gedolei Sfarad, he points out that the Mem Beis Masais, right? The pasuk says, "Vayichtov Moshe es moitzaehem lemasehem al pi Hashem." Right? The pasuk says Moshe wrote their comings, their goings, based on the name of Hashem, to indicate that all of the comings and goings of Klal Yisrael are al pi Hashem. Right? That's pasuk Beis. Vayichtov Moshe es moitzaehem lemasehem al pi Hashem. And the 42 different locations, says the Tzar Hamar, is a remez to 42 different stops Bnei Yisrael had to make throughout their history. Take a look from Sarfas, from France to Spain, from Spain to Malchus Yishmael, and so forth. So in other words, this whole Parsha is a remez to the destiny of Klal Yisrael and the Golas. Why? Because they left Mitzrayim biyad Moshe v'Aaron. Where do they have to go? Eila, Masei, Bnei Yisrael. And what we would like to try to explain is why in the remez of Eila Masei B'nai Yisrael is the order Edom, Madai, Bavel, Yavan. That's not the order. That's not the order. Edom is last. It should be Bavel, Madai, Yavan, Edom. Why is it out of order? Eila, Edom is last. Then Madai, then Babel, then Yavan. We start with number 4, right?
Yeah.
Then we go to number 2. Then we go to number 1. Then we go to number 3.
Right. What's
pshat? Haloi davarhu. Okay. So this whole inyan, the whole inyan of the Daled Malchios, this is a major topic in Machshavas Yisrael. It's not just, it happens to be that, we left Mitzrayim, then we went into Golus, and after the fact, let's count up. How many Golusim did we have to go through? 4. This was already predicted from beforehand, not just from the time of Avram Avinu. This was already predicted when the world was created. We find in the Bereshis Rabbah, look at number 4. Reb Shimon ben Lakish, Pasar Kroya Bagalias. This is the Pasuk, V'ha'aretz ha'isa sayu, v'avayu, v'chayshach, apnei tahim. Reb Shimon ben Lakish interprets these pasukim referring to the Golusim. V'ha'aretz ha'isa sayu, zeh Golus Bavel. Tayu refers to Bavel. Shenemar, Yirmiyahu says, Ra'isi es ha'aretz, in reference to Bavel, v'hinei tayu. V'avayu, zeh Golus Madai. Bayu refers to Madai. Why? Vayavhilu lahavias Hamad. Haman, who was during Galus Bavel, was in the times of, right, we find the lashon of Bahala, Bayu. The Chayshach, darkness, Zeh Galus Yavan. This refers to the Greeks. Shehechshichu einem shayisov gzeroseim. They darkened the eyes of Klal Yisrael in their gzeros. Shehayisov imeres lahem. They said to Klal Yisrael, Kisvu al keren ashar, right on the horn of an axe. She'ein lachem chelek b'lekei Yisrael, that you have no shiur in the God of Klal Yisrael. Al pnei sahaim. Al pnei sahaim. So in other words, Chayshach refers to Yavan. Tahaim, what is the Tahaim? The Tahaim is the great abyss, right? No end. Which Galus is described as no end? Haintika Galus, right? The Galus we're in today. Apneids Tahaim Zeh Galus Mamleches Harisha. This is the evil empire. She'ein lahem cheker. It cannot be investigated. We can't get to the bottom. It's like a bottomless pit. Kamaya Tahaim. Maha Tahaim Hazein Lai Cheker. Af Harisham Kain. Then what happens? The Ruach Elokim Merachefes. What is the Ruach Elokim that hovers? Zeh Ruchai Shel Melech HaMashiach. In what zechus, right? The Medrash asks, "Be'ezos zechus mimashmesh asuba." In what zechus does Mashiach come? Baruch Elokim rachevs al pnei hamayim. In the zechus of the water, ve'in mayim ela tshuva shenemar shivchi kamayim libech. So this pasuk, the concept of the Dal Golusim, it's not just happens to be. We went through 4 Golusim. This was predicted beforehand from the time of the creation of the world. The very first day of creation. Bereshis bar lakim eshnai v'zaretz. Immediately, the very first moment of creation, the concept of the Daled Golusim was already foreseen. And again, it's repeated to Avram Avinu by the Bris Ben Habasarim, right? The pasuk says, "V'hinei ema chashecha gedoyla noifeles olav." Right? 4 lashonos: ema chashecha gedoyla noifeles. So says the Medrash, ema is Bavel. Like we find the Chsiv, we find by Nebuchadnezzar, Ba'adin, then Nebuchadnezzar, Hismali, Chema, he got filled with anger, similar to Ema. Chashecha is Madai, Gedoyla is Yavan, and so forth. So we see that the concept of the Daled Malchios is not something that we happen to experience.
She uses Shechshicha, the name of Israel, for Madai instead of Yavan.
Okay, the different nuschais, exactly the order and who's what. But in any event, what we're seeing is that this was something that was predicted from the very beginning of the world's creation, already foreseen and told to Avram Avinu. Okay, so we're going to address a major question. And the question is that it would seem that there is a world power that is still very much a force to reckon with even today, that is not mentioned as one of the Daled Malchios. You have a mention of Babylonians, you have a mention of
Medes,
the Persia, right? The Medes, Madai and Paras. You have a mention of the Greeks. You have a mention of Rome. What happened to the Arabs? What happened to Yishmael? Yishmael, he didn't make the list. Why didn't he make the list? He's not mean enough, right? He didn't kill enough people. But he's our friend.
He's a loser.
He's not our friend. He's certainly a very strong power. Today you can make the case most powerful force in the world. Either, the Western world, Yishmael. Why did Yishmael get left off the list? He didn't make it, he lost a seat on the bus. I'm sure Yishmael would have been very proud if he would be able to read in the Midrashim that he's on the list.
One of the Torah you.
Yeah, why?
Aren't we talking, isn't it saying somewhere that the Galut Yishmael will be the last Galut before Mashiach comes?
You tell me.
I don't know, I read somewhere and it says...
Why is Yishmael not on the list? Right? They're not the Babylonians. They're not the Persians. They're not the Greeks. They're not the Romans.
Maybe they're Edom, though.
Take over from Edom.
Yeah.
Isn't that
So why aren't they a Malchus? Why aren't they a Malchus? What is the definition of a Malchus? Right? We have 4 Malchios. How does one become a Malchus? Right? When you're registering, you call up the government office. I'm applying to be a Malchus. What do you have to do? What do you have to write on the form? We wear a certain type of crown. We kill a certain number. What do they have to do?
Loyam. Loyam. That's why.
What? Who doesn't? They don't believe in it?
I believe that the religious leader is their leader. It's not a Malchus. It's a religious leader.
It's in Malchus is an empire.
Greece was a religious. They didn't have any religion.
But Malchus was an empire, right? They took over
So let's see. This is a question that the Maharal addresses. The Maharal in the Sefer Ner Mitzvah, when he talks about the concept of the Dal Machios, he wants to know what happened to Yishmael. Why is Yishmael not on the list? Says the Maharal, V'yesh b'nei Adam shayalem. There are some people who ask, Behechan remez Malchus Yishmael. Where's Yishmael? Shehi Malchus Rabbasa v'Takifa. They are a powerful and awesome Malchus. We're going to do things a little bit differently today. Let us skip a little bit to a Gemara. This is on your sheets. We're going to number 31. Number 31. Okay, good kasha, right? It's a question that, a Jew should know the answer to. Why is Yishmael not on the list? Let's go to a Gemara in Masechta Avodah Zarah, Daf Beis Amud Aleph. This is talking about before the Geula. The Gemara says there's going to be a man by the name of Gog. Why his parents called him that, I don't know. He's the king of Magog, and he's going to lead the nations in war against Klal Yisrael. The nations are going to be defeated, and Hashem is going to judge all the nations of the world. Now here's where the Gemara kicks in. Look at number 31. Darash Rabbi Chanina Bar Papa V'yitema Rabbi Simlai La'asid Lavai Mevi HaKadosh Baruch Hu Sefer Torah. La'asid Lavai, Hashem is going to take a Sefer Torah. Umanichai B'cheika, he's going to put it in his lap. V'amar, he's going to say, L'misha asak ba yavai v'yitos charai. Anyone who learned, come, get your reward. Right? So everyone's going to come. Miyad miskabtin abam oivdei kacham berabuvya. All of a sudden, all the goyim gather, right? The Italians, the Chinese, Japanese, the Eskimos, the Indians, they all gather together, the Africans, everyone, Norwegians, they all wait online to get reward from the Rebbeinu Shalom for learning Torah. Shenemer, kol hagoyim nikbetzu yachad. Amar lahem HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem said, oh, wait a second. Al tikansu lefanai berabuvya. Don't gather to me, haphazardly in a mishka babel, mixed up. Make a line. Ela tikanes kaluma v'uma v'seifreha. Let every nation and its leaders come separately. Shenemar v'yeyasvu le'umim v'eim la'oim ela malchus. Shenemar la'oim la'oim yamotz. It says the le'umim should gather, and la'oim refers to malchus, like it says la'oim la'oim yamotz. So then the Gemara asks, what do you mean? Why does Hashem want the nations of the world to come together in an orderly fashion? When Hashem can't scan them immediately, Hashem needs them to stand online? Well, Hashem can't deal with, confusion? It's going to be too confusing? What does this mean? Is there confusion for Hashem? So the Gemara says it's not for Hashem, it's for them. Because Hashem wants each nation to hear what He's going to tell them. Says the Gemara, Hashem wants the nations of the world to hear what He has to say. Miyad. Nichnas alefana machos Rome. Who comes first? Edom. Why Edom? Says the Gemara, my timer, Mishum de Chashiva. Because they're chashuv. They're chashuv. Romans are chashuv people. Right? They have nice shoes, with the straps. They wear those. Romans are chashuv. They could kill a lion. Who knows? And they're chashuv people. Umi nalan de Chashiva. How do we know they're chashuv? T'chsiv, va'toichal kol ara, because it says about them, they will devour the land. V'tedushina, v'tudikena, they will trample the land, they will crumble the land. The Romans are chashuva people. So they go first. Rabbi Yochanan, Zurami chayeves shetiva yatz b'chol olam. This refers to Rome. Their influence has emerged throughout the world. So the Gemara asks, okay, very nice, they're chashuv. How do you know a chashuv person comes first? So the Gemara says, we know the demand the chashuv ayel bereishik, Rav Chisda, melech v'tzibro. If when Hashem judges the king and the tzibur, melech nechnas chila ladin. Hashem first judges the king. Shenemar lasos mishpat avda mishpat ama Yisrael. And why does Hashem first judge the king? Either because it's not the archeres, the king should wait outside, or because Hashem wants to judge the king before he gets angry from all the chatam of the general people. Okay. 2 lines from the bottom. What do you mean you learned Torah? You learned Torah? You ever learned in Kaila? You Romans. When did you learn? Which yeshiva did you learn in? Which? No, but Hashem, the Gemara says, Hashem says, whoever learned Torah will get reward. So they came online. So Hashem said, what Torah did you learn? Which yeshiva did you learn in? You learned in Brisk? Where did you go? We made many roads, many marketplaces. We made bathhouses. We amassed wealth. Who do we do it for? You know why we made stores? So that Jews should buy cheese danishes to learn in Kaila. Why did we buy bathhouses? So that Jews should be able to take a shower, and when they learn in Kaila, they're comfortable. And why do we make money? We had money for Jews to learn. Amar lehem HaKadosh Baruch Hu, shaitim sheba'olam, you're fools. You did it for yourself. You did it for yourself. Tikantem shvakim lahoshbehem zaynos. You made the stores to be mezana. Merchatzois la'adim hanatzmechem. You made the bathhouses for your leisure. Kasev izav shali. You're talking to me about money. The money belongs to me. Shener mali akasev yazav no Hashem svakos. By the way, our Rosh Yeshiva of Henoch Leibowitz used to point out that Hashem doesn't say you're wrong. You didn't do it for Yisrael. Kadesh Yisaska B'Torah. Hashem didn't say no. The stores are not for Yisrael. The money is not for Yisrael. The bathhouses are not for Yisrael. They are for Klal Yisrael.
But you
it's just you're a shaitan because you didn't do it for that. But Avada, everything the Goyim does, every street they pave, every store they build, it's all for us to learn Torah. Just that's not what they're doing it for. They're not mechavin for that. Hashem doesn't say you're wrong. Hashem just says you're shaitan. Okay. By the way, the Brisker Rav also says the same thing. The Brisker Rav also says that. Diyak from the Gemara.
Whatever everything else does, anybody else does is for you.
Right. So Hashem says, Klum yesh b'chem magid zois. You have any magidei shiurim there? Anyone there who's magid zois? What's zois? Shenemar mi b'chem yagid zois. V'yein zois ala Torah. Shenemar v'zois ha-Torah shesam Moshe. Miyad yatzu b'pachei nefesh. The Romans walk out dejected. They're despondent. They're depressed. We lost the case. We're not getting schar for Talmud Torah. Who comes next? Yatzis machos Raimi v'nichnasa machos Paras. After the Romans leave, who walks in? The good old Persians. My timer. Why the Persians next? Daha chashiva basra. Because in terms of chashivas, first you have the Romans, then you have the Persians. Right? The Persians, they have nice rugs. Right? They're very chashiv. The Persians are chashiva people. Right?
Persians are not the race.
What? Well, we'll see. Uminalan. How do we know Persians are chashiv? D'chsiv. It says va'aru, and behold, cheva achari. Tinyana, there's a second animal. After Daniel saw the lion, he saw a bear. Dam Yeladov, they're similar to a bear. V'tani Rabbi Yosef, Elu Parsiim. These are the Persians. Why Persians are called like bears? Why are Persians like bears? Because Sha'oichlem v'shoisim kadayv, they eat and drink like bears. This is the Goyim, not the Jewish ones, right? The Persians eat and drink like the bears, u'meserval and basar kadayv, and they're full of fat like a bear, u'megadlan seyar kadayv, and they have long hair like a bear, ve'en lahem menucha kadayv, and you ever see a bear in its cage, right? It's, what's it called? It paces back and forth. Persians, they pace back and forth always. Amar lahem HaKadosh Baruch Hu, nu, what? You also learn Torah. What do you want? B'maya saktem. Amar l'farvashim. Harbe gesharim gasharnu. We built lots of bridges. Harbe krachim kavashnu. We made lots of wars. Harbe milchames asinu. We conquered cities. We made wars. By the way, what's that talking about? When did the Persians ever make wars?
One thing they didn't mention is they helped us build Bet HaMikdash.
We'll see. We'll get to that. When did the Persians ever conquer cities and make wars? The Persians are known for making wars?
Did you learn Torah? He didn't ask, did you build bridges to learn Torah?
No, Ella kulam lo yasinu, Ella b'shul yisrael k'dei shisaska b'Torah. Everything we did was for limanat Torah. Amar lehem HaKadosh Baruch Hu, no, shaitim kamash asisem tzach atzmechem asisem tikantim gesham. You made bridges for taxes. You conquered cities to bring people into your service. You made wars? No, God says you don't make wars. I make wars. Hashem says Hashem ish machama. You have any magidei shiurim in Persia? You have any goyim who give daf yomi? No. Mi bachem yagid zois ve'in zois ela Torah shenam zois ha-Torah. Says the Gemara, when Persia saw that Rome did not win the case, right? The Romans went in, God said, you learn anything? The Romans said, yeah, we built houses for Jews to learn Torah. And God said, oh, come on, you shaitim, you made it for yourself. So why would the Persians think they would fear any better? Right? What happened? The Romans went into the court case. God found them guilty, so the Persians said, we'll give it a try. What were the Persians thinking? Why did they think they would fear any better than the Romans? Says the Gemara, my time Ailai. They said like this, Inu sasri beis hamikdash. The Persians said, the Persians were very smart. They said the Romans destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. We built the Beis HaMikdash. And then says the Gemara, V'chein l'chal umma v'umma, every nation goes in.
Gets us up.
So now the Gemara asks, why would every subsequent nation keep on going in? Why didn't they learn the lesson from the earlier ones? Once they saw that the earlier nations, it didn't help, why did the next nation go in? So the Gemara says, Savri Hanach Ishtabdu Behu Yisrael. They thought that the earlier people, they subjugated the Jews. Now here's the key. Ready? This is mamish half love a fella. Ask the Gemara, we said the Romans go in first because they're chashiv. The Persians go in next because they're chashiv. What does it mean to be chashiv? What does it mean to be a chashiv nation? What do you have to do? You wear a nice suit? It helps, but that's what the Gemara means. Says the Gemara, Maishna hani de chashivi, Maishna hani de loy chashivi. Mishum dahanach mashchi b'malchasayu ad da'asi mashicha. Edom and Paras will last until Mashiach comes. Rome and Persia will last till Mashiach comes.
Persia?
Now, one second. Rome, I have no problem with that. The Western world, right? They're the descendants, America and all the Western civilization are descendants of Rome. But Persia will last till Mashiach comes. I mean, come on. Persian Empire is long gone. Long gone. If you want anything about the Persian Empire, you could go to Iran, you'll see in a museum. There's no Persian Empire today. It's been conquered so many times, there's no remnant even of Persia. So what's the Gemara talking about? They'll last until Mashiach comes. It's not true. It's not true. So let's see the Maral. Again, back to the question. Why is Yishmael not on the list of the Daled Malchios? So the Maral says two amazing things. Just back to number 6. Back to number 6. Right? Back to the question. V'yesh b'nei Adam shayalim v'heichan remez malchus Yishmael shehi malchus rabasa utakifa. Where is there a remez to malchus Yishmael? Utshuva shelazos. The answer is like this. Mashalei zachar malchus Yishmael kiloi yechashev hakasav rak hamalchus shekiblu malchus kadishin el yonim. The definition of a malchus are those who accept royalty from the Supreme Holy Ones. What's this talking about? In Sefer Daniel, the Rebbeinu Shalom tells Daniel that there are going to be 4 nations that will accept the Malchus of Kadishan Elyonim, the Supreme Holy Ones. In other words, they are taking our Malchus. The Malchus Klal Yisrael was supposed to have, the royalty of Klal Yisrael, these Malchios co-opt that Malchus. They steal it. They steal it. In other words, their reign, their power is our power, but they've monopolized it. They've taken it, they've stolen it. Sheyarshu Malchus Yisrael. They inherit the Malchus of Yisrael. Bekoicham, their power. In other words, they take our power. When you see the power of a Malchus, we have to know that's the power of Klal Yisrael. But they took it. Vehem elu dalan malchios. V'im lo shabata malchus Yisrael. If we would be strong, in other words, in the time of Shlomo HaMelech, there were no malchios. Why? Because the malchus belongs to us. Ki Lashem hamlucha. But the Goyim could take it. Anytime you see the Goyim have Malchus, they're taking Malchus Yisrael. Says the Maral, the Malchus of Yishmael, they're not taking our Malchus. They have their independent source of Kayach. What is the independent source of Kayach of Yishmael? Avo Malchus Yishmael lo yarash koichai min Malchus Yisrael. The strength of Yishmael does not come from Klal Yisrael. Ki koichai v'toikvai nasan lai Hashem Yisrach b'fnei atzmai. God gave Klal Yisrael koyach. God gave Yishmael separate koyach. Why? Because he's a descendant of Avraham Avinu, and Avraham Avinu was Mismalel, Uli Yishmael, right? Lu Yishmael Yichya lefanecha, and Hashem said, you know what? Uli Yishmael shematicha. You want Yishmael to live? I'll listen to you, Lagada Yishmael. Uli Yishmael shematicha. The other Malchios, if they are strong, that means we're weak. They've sucked out every kayak that we have, and they've taken it for themselves. Yishmael has their own independent source. B'shvil shehayim mizera Avraham, v'Hashem Yisbarach Amar uli Yishmael shematicha. B'hinei nasan Hashem Yisbarach kayak v'toikaf li Yishmael b'fnei atzmai. Yishmael has its own independent source. Umizeh ein medaber. And the 4 Malchios is not discussing this type of reign. Kasher mazker elu dal Malchios. When we mention the 4 Malchios, rak asher yarshu kayach v'toikvim shel Yisrael. We only mention the 4 Umais that have usurped Klal Yisrael's kayach. Ulevasoif yachzru heim hamalchus Yisrael. And when Mashiach comes, we will gain our Malchus back from them. Says the Maral. Furthermore, v'yoser nireh. As good of an answer as that was, and let's just momentarily take a little break about that. What's the idea? The idea the Maral is saying is that that Edom has kayach, when Madai has kayach, when Yavan has kayach, when Rome has kayach, when Bava has kayach, they've taken our kayach. So that means there's a seesaw relationship. That's why the Gemara says, if somebody says Yerushalayim is built and Caesarea is built up, don't believe them. It's impossible. If someone says Yerushalayim is destroyed and Caesarea is built up, believe it. If someone says Caesarea is destroyed and Yerushalayim is built up, believe them. Why? Because the Jews and the Romans cannot both have power at the same time. Why? Because it's one source of power. It's our power. If we have it, it's ours. If they have it, they've stolen it from us. But we don't find such a relationship with Yishmael that we both can't be powerful at the same time. We could both be powerful at the same time. The Jews and the Arabs could both be powerful. We could both not be powerful. The strength of the Arabs is not connected in any way with the respective strength of Klal Yisrael. We only find that by the Daled Malchios, because by the Daled Malchios they have usurped our Kayach. Rav Hutner points out in number 7, this is a piece that he writes, a Maimer, on Chanukah. He writes as following. He says, "Of a Sefer Pachad Yitzchak Mevar Divrei HaMaral." The Pachad Yitzchak explains the Maral. Matzinu b'divrei Chachamim, we find in Chazal, shebein Yaakov ve'Esav miskayim yachas shel k'shezeh kam zeh noifel. We find Yaakov and Esav. There's like a seesaw relationship. When we're up, they're down. When they're up, we're down. Right? If someone says that Yerushalayim and Rome they're both built, al tamin. But by Yishmael, we don't find such a relationship. There is no yachas, there's no connection between the success of Yishmael and the failure of Klal Yisrael. We could both be successful, we could both not be successful. They are not dependent on each other. Okay.
Does it have to do with the so-called Yaakov,
Yeah, there's a connection. We'll have our malchus when we have the Kol Torah, and thereby Esau will be weak. But we both can't be strong at the same time. There is a seesaw relationship. There's a cyclical relationship between Klal Yisrael and the Dal Malchus. Not so with Yishmael. Yishmael has not derived its koyach from Klal Yisrael. Says the Maral. But I'm going to give you a better answer. I'm going to give you a better answer why Yishmael is not on the list.
The next Maral?
Number 6. At the end of the piece, 5 lines from him. V'yoser nira loymar. Ki Yishmael hu bechlal malchus paras. Yishmael is part of the second malchus, the Persians. The Arabs, the Muslims are part of the Persians. V'hu bechlal malchus shniya. They are the second malchus. V'yafagav shamru malchus achrei hu paras. So why are we calling them Persians? It should be the Yishmaelim. Like it's paras beferish because of. When Hashem spoke to Daniel, He didn't say specifically it's going to be the Persians. The general category is the Persians, but included in the general category of the Persians are the Yishmaelim. So Rabbi say, it's a very frightening thing, because that explains very clearly how we understand the Gemara in Masechta Avodah Zarah. The Gemara in Avodah Zarah says, which are the two most chashuv malchios? Rome and Paras. So we ask, Paras? The Persians are long gone. They're long gone. But the answer is, the Maral has told us that Paras are not only the Persians. Paras is a general category that includes Yishmael. And certainly we know, till today, the two malchios that have lasted until the end of time are Rome and Paras. Which one is most chashuv? The Gemara said, who came in first? Rome, Edom. Who's number 2? Paras. Now we understand. Oimek, Divrei, Megala, Amukais. What's the remez? Eila, Maaseh, B'nai, Yisrael. We're not giving the Daled Goliath in chronological order. We're giving it in order of Chashivas. Aleph, Edom, Rome. Beis, Madai. Madai includes Paras. Paras and Madai. They're Chashiv number 2, according to the Gemara in Avodah Zarah. Then between Bavel and Yavan, we know from Sefer Daniel, Bavel was considered, in a way, the most Chashiv of them all. They were compared to the lion. They were compared to the gold. Right? Daniel had 2 visions. He saw 4 chayos. Bavel was the lion. Bavel was the gold. So perhaps it's not just saying, some haphazard remez. Right? It's in order of chashivas, according to the Gemara in Avodah Zarah. First comes Edom, then comes Madai, then comes Bavel, then comes Klal Yisrael. Okay, we're just beginning. We find something very, very interesting.
Is Germany part of Edom?
Yeah, it's an Einakol.
Germany is the main Edom.
An Einakol. Yeah, they're a branch. We have a Gemara. We have a Gemara in Yuma. So now we know there are going to be 2 umais, 2 malchios that last till Mashiach. Rome and Yishmael. Now we learned, the Maral told us that when Mashiach comes, ulevasoif yachzuru heim hamalchus Yisrael. At the end, the malchus are going to revert back to Klal Yisrael. By the way, just look very quickly at number 39. The Maral in another place, in his commentary on the Masechta Avodah Zarah, he says like this. Umaksha maishna hani dechashiv. The Gemara asks, why are Rome and Persia the 2 nations that go first into Hashem? Umaishna hani deloi chashiv. And the Gemara answers, Umashani umataritz dahani tarti moshchi malchusai ad malchus HaMashiach. Yesh l'chol lahaven divrei chachamim. You have to understand. Kimasha kol ha'olam.
39.
The general world is included under the umbrella Hu Malchus Edom and Malchus Yishmael. The whole world, really, the Maral says, falls under the umbrella of Rome and Yishmael. Right? You can't get more emes than that. Ki Malchus Yishmael Malchus Paras Nechshavim K'mei Malchus Echad Legamri. The Persians, the Persians and the Arabs are all one. Rabbi Sai, now we understand. What argument did the Persians say? The Persians said, we conquered a lot of cities. We made a lot of wars. You say, what? The Persians don't make wars. Yeah, but the Arabs make wars. Yeah. That's the distinguishing feature of the Arabs. The Persians and the Arabs have a connection. All the various different segments of Edom, they're all under one umbrella. Any nations that are connected, they're all like one. Says the Maharal, why does it have to be that these two Malchios will struggle till the end of time? Because only Klal Yisrael that derives from Hashem could be Goya Echad Ba'aretz. But the Goyim, there always have to be, they can never be one general category of Goyim. They always have to be broken down into two. But this is very amazing. So we know, until Mashiach comes, we're going to have two Malchios. Rome, Yishmael, and Paras. Who is going to beat who before Mashiach comes? In other words, the concept of Malchus, of the Dan Malchus, is they have our Malchus. They've usurped our Malchus. Right? Bavel took it when the Babylonians destroyed the Beis HaMikdash, they took our Malchus. Then the Persians defeated the Babylonians, they took our Malchus. Then the Greeks took our Malchus. Who's going to be the last nation to stand before the Yimei Mashiach? So look in the Gemara in Yom. Well, we have machlokes here. Some say Persians, some say the Romans. Very good. It's a machlokes. Look at this. Okay? Gemara in Yuma says in number 32. Amar Rabbi Shua ben Levi, Amar Rabbi. Asida Romi Shatipo Biyad Paras. The western wall, Rome, will fall into the hands of the Persians. Shenemar? Lachein Shimu Atzas Hashem. Listen to the counsel of Hashem Asher Yoatz, who has devised Al Edom regarding Edom, Umachshavoisav Asher Chashav regarding his thoughts that he planned. Al Yoshvei Teman, on the descendants of the residents of Teman. Teman was the grandson of Esav. Imlo Yisachvom, if they are not dragged off, Tzi'irei Hatzon, by the youngest of sheep. Basically, the pasuk says God is saying that Edom, the Yoshvei Teman, will be dragged off by the youngest of sheep. Imlo Yasam Aleim Nohim, will they not destroy their residences? So we see from here, Edom will be destroyed in the end of days. Maskefla Rabba Barula, my mashma. How do you know the Hayt Sirei Hatzon Parasu? How do you know the youngest of sheep are the Persians will destroy Rome? Techsiv, what are you going to tell me? Because there's another pasuk that calls the Persians sheep. The Persians are called sheep. We know the Greeks are also called sheep. So maybe it's not the Persians that will defeat Rome, maybe it's the Greeks. The he-goat is Greece. So Gemara says, Kisalach Rabbi Chaviva bar Surmaki, when Rabbi Chaviva bar Surmaki went up to Eretz Yisrael, Amra Kamei Dahum Rabbanan, he said over to one of the Rabbanan, this Kasha, number 32, Amar Le, Mandala Yada Perusha Krai, Maisiv Tiyufta Rebbe. Only someone who doesn't know the meaning of this pasuk would ever ask a Kasha on Rebbe. Again, Rebbe's opinion is, Persia will defeat Rome. Because anyone who knows anything about anything would know, what does it mean, the youngest of sheep? Zutra da'achayi, the youngest of the brothers. The Tani Rav Yosef, Tiras Zeparas. We know Yefes had many sons. Right. The youngest son of Yefes was Tiras. Tiras is Persia. So what does it mean Rome will be defeated by the youngest of brothers? Who's the youngest of Yefes' sons? Persia. So we see from here, Rome will be defeated by the youngest of brothers. Who's that? Persia. So the Gemara says at the end of days there's going to be a big boxing match between Rome and Persia, between the Western world and the Arab world. Who's going to win? Ding, ding, ding. Arabs win. Arabs win. That's what Rebbe's opinion.
Why aren't they
TKO.
What?
Why aren't they number one?
Why aren't they number one? We'll see. Good kasha. That's Rebbe's opinion. Now listen to this. Rabbi, listen to this. Amar Rabba Bar Bachana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Mishum Rabbi Huda Rabbi Lai. He agrees. So far that was the opinion of Rebbe. Rabbi Huda Rabbi Lai says, again, Asida Roimi Shatipo Biad Paras. Again, according to the Maharal, Paras are the Arabs. Rome, the Western world, will fall into the hands of the Arabs. Kal v'chomer. Listen to this one. It's a Kal v'chomer. Who built the first Beis HaMikdash? Shlomo. Who destroyed the first Beis HaMikdash? Baba. Who built the second Beis HaMikdash? Persians. Who destroyed it? Rome. So listen to this.
Oh, that's the argument.
Listen to the argument. The Jews built the first Beis HaMikdash, v'hichrivu Kasdim, and the Babylonians destroyed it. Who took over from the Babylonians? The Persians.
They built it.
What do we see from here? The Persians are able to defeat the destroyers. Naflu Kasdim biyad Parsim. The Persians could defeat the destroyers. Mikdasheni, the second Beis HaMikdash. Shabanu Parsim, that the Persians built. V'achrivu Romiim, and the Romans destroyed. Eino din sheyiplu Romiim biyad Parsim. Certainly the Romans will be able to defeat the Persians. Excuse me.
Persians will be able to defeat the Romans.
The Persians will be able to defeat the Romans. In other words, if the Persians could defeat the destroyers of the first Beis HaMikdash, certainly they'll defeat the destroyers of the second Beis HaMikdash because they built it. That's the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda Bar Ilai. So Rabbi Yehuda Bar Ilai say Arabs. Amar Rav says no. Amar Rav Asida Parash Shetipo Biyad Rami. No. The Western world, they'll defeat the Arabs. What kind of logic is that? The Romans destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. You're going to say the Arabs are going to be defeated by the destroyers? Right? The builders are going to be defeated by the destroyers? Yeah. Don't bring me Kavachimers when Hashem said that the Romans are going to defeat the Arabs.
Where is the Gezeres Melech?
I don't know. 1 second. Ika Damri. Amarle. Inunami Hokasasi Bekanishna. Some say he responded differently. The Persians, well, you think they're such big tzaddikim? They also destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. What? They destroyed shuls. The Persians destroyed all the shuls under the Persian Empire. Tanya Nami Hachi. Asida Parash Tipo Biad Roimi. We learned in a brisa like this also. The Romans will defeat the Arabs. Number one, Chada Desasri B'Yei Kanishta. Number one, they destroyed shuls, so they're no better than the Romans. Romans destroyed Beis HaMikdash, they destroyed shuls.
They did it once and left, and they kept on doing it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Right? But Gezeras Melech, it's the Kriya of Hashem, Sheyiplu Boinin Biad Soisrin. Where does it say that the Romans will defeat the Arabs? Rabbi Yehuda Amarav, Ein Ben David Ba. Ben David will not come, Mashiach will not come. Ad shetivshait malchus roimi harasha b'chol ha'olam kulay tisha chadashim. This is the raya to Rav. Rav said Mashiach will not come until Rome conquers the world for 9 months. And there's a pasuk that says that Rome will be conquering the world like a woman in labor. A woman is pregnant for 9 months. So what do we see from here? We see from Gemara in Masechta Avodah Zarah that the two most chashuv of all the Yumais Ha'olam are Rome and Persia. Why? Because they'll last till Mashiach. So yes, what are you talking about? The Persians are not lasting till Mashiach. So we said, based on the Maral, that if Paras is Yishmael, this is something, mamish, we see the Nevuah with our own eyes. The two Malchios that last until the Yom HaAchrain are Rome and Yishmael. Who's going to win? You see, even the Tanoim and Amoraim, we're unclear. We don't know. We don't know what's going to be. We don't know. It's a frightening thing. It's Machloikes, Tanoim, Machloikes, Amoraim. Who will win? Who will win? Who will be the last man standing, right? Who will be the last man standing? By the way, it could be, you'll say, yes, if the Persians will defeat the Romans, so then they're more chashuv. It could be, ultimately the last man standing are going to end up giving it to Klal Yisrael. So, it might not be such a big honor to be the last man. But anyway, I'll show you something very interesting. Ba'aturim, beginning of Parshas Toldos.
Which number?
Number 44. Ba'aturim says like this.
Where's this Parsha? What?
Toldos. The Ba'aturim says...
Chaisara says it.
Yeah. It's the last words of Parshas Chayesara. What are the last words of Parshas Chayesara? Vayishkinu mechavila. It's talking about Yishmael. Ad shur al pnei Mitzrayim bayach Ashura al pnei chol echav nafal. They fell. It doesn't say shachen. It's talking about the nefila of Yishmael. What do we have right after the nefila of Yishmael? Ve'ela toldos Yitzchak. By the way, says the Balaturim, al pnei kol echav nafal, v'samach le ve'ela toldos Yitzchak loymar, kishayipol Yishmael ba'achris hayamim, az Yitzmach ben David, Shehu, Mitoldos, Yitzchak. So who's the Baal HaTurim siding with? Rebbe.
With Rav.
No, like Rebbe and Rebbe Yehuda Bar Eloi, that Yishmael will conquer Rome, and then Yishmael will fall, and so that's a kasha. Of all the places to be Merames,
Who lasts for 9 months? That's what we're going to suffer for 9 months.
We don't know. We know there's an opinion that Rome will conquer for 9 months. I don't know if the other opinion says Yishmael will conquer. Listen to this.
These are our brothers.
Why specifically is there a remez to Yishmael HaMashiach? Ve'ela told us Yitzchak, that Ben David comes from Yitzchak. What does Sheikh's Yitzchak got to do with it?
Yes, Yitzchak and not Esau, I guess.
Yitzchak is...
Yishmael.
What? By the way, Yitzchak is Nisgalgel to who? Pinchas. This is a different share, different than we learned last week. Yitzchak, what's the gematria of Yitzchak? 208. Yud, 10, Sadi, 90, Ches, 8, Kuf, 100. 208. What's the gematria of Pinchas? By the way, this is Rishonim say. It's not even... Paneach Raza says at the beginning of Parshas Pinchas. Pinchas is the gematria Yitzchak. Yitzchak is 208. Pinchas is 208. Why? Because Yitzchak Avinu is Pinchas. You know what he's going to come and say? Says the Rishonim, Nachamu, Nachamu. The gematria 208. That's the remez. But the nefila of Yishmael, Pnei Kol Echav Nafal, Ve'ela told us Yitzchak. This is the aliyah of Yitzchak Avinu. Yitzchak Avinu has a connection to Pinchas, and we should be zeicha to hear Nachamu, Nachamu, Amin.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.